Complaining is like a weight around your neck, dragging you deeper into a sea of negativity. Imagine waking up every day feeling that weight pull you down. What if, instead of lamenting over what you lack, you channeled that energy into action? Picture this. Every time you catch yourself grumbling about your situation, you flip the script. You take a step forward, however small, towards change. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to get stuck in a cycle of blame? It's almost addictive, right? But here's the twist. What if the key to unlocking your potential lies not in your words but in your actions? Think about it. The great Stoics taught us that our power is in our responses, not our complaints. So, what if you took that complaint and transformed it into fuel for your next move? Every time you feel the urge to complain, pause. Reset your mind. Ask yourself, what can I do right now to change this? By shifting your focus from whining to doing, you'll not only lighten your load but also ignite a fire within that propels you forward. Are you ready to stop complaining and start acting? The choice is yours. If you're looking for more emotional balance, clarity in decision-making, and want to learn how to handle life better, this content is for you. So go ahead and leave a like and subscribe to the channel, because with each video you'll grow stronger on the inside and see life with greater wisdom. The importance of proactivity in problem solving. You know, there's something incredibly powerful about being proactive, especially when it comes to solving problems. It's like having a superpower that not everyone realizes they possess. For me, being proactive means taking the initiative to identify potential issues before they even arise. Instead of waiting for a problem to smack me in the face, I prefer to be the one who anticipates challenges and looks for ways to address them head-on. This mindset not only saves time but also reduces stress in the long run. I often find that when I take charge and act early, I not only find solutions faster, but I also empower myself and those around me to embrace a more positive approach to challenges. Being proactive isn't just about tackling issues as they occur, it's about fostering a mindset that encourages action. I remember a time when my team faced a significant deadline, and instead of waiting for instructions, I gathered everyone together to brainstorm. We identified potential roadblocks and came up with a plan to overcome them before they could derail our progress. The energy in that room was electric, and it made me realize how infectious proactivity can be. When one person steps up, it often motivates others to do the same, creating a ripple effect of positive action. Of course, being proactive requires a certain level of awareness and responsibility. It's not enough to just recognize a problem. One has to be willing to take that first step towards a solution. I've learned that this willingness often comes from a deep desire to improve not only my situation but also the environment around me. When I see a problem, I feel a sense of responsibility to address it, not just for my own sake but for the collective good of my team or community. That sense of ownership is what makes proactivity so impactful. Moreover, I've noticed that being proactive enhances my confidence. Each time I step up to solve a problem, I reinforce my belief in my capabilities. It's like building a muscle. The more I practice being proactive, the stronger I become in my ability to tackle challenges. And let me tell you, that confidence spills over into other areas of my life. I find that I approach not just work-related problems but personal challenges with the same proactive mindset, seeking solutions rather than getting bogged down in complaints. In the end, embracing proactivity has not only changed how I deal with problems but also how I view life itself. It's a mindset that fosters resilience and creativity. I've realized that life will always throw challenges my way, but by being proactive, I can navigate those challenges more effectively. It's not just about being a problem solver. It's about being someone who sees opportunities for improvement and takes action to make them a reality. The difference between complaining and seeking effective solutions. Let's talk about complaining for a moment. We've all been there, right? It's so easy to fall into the trap of venting frustrations, especially when things aren't going our way. But I've come to realize that there's a significant difference between merely complaining and actively seeking solutions. Complaining feels good in the moment, like a release valve for built-up stress, but it rarely leads to any real change. In contrast, seeking solutions involves a proactive approach that can lead to genuine progress. When I catch myself complaining, I try to pause and ask, what am I really trying to achieve here? It's a simple yet powerful question. Often, the act of complaining is rooted in a desire for change, but without taking action, I'm just spinning my wheels. I've learned that if I want to see results, I have to channel that energy into finding solutions. For instance, if I'm unhappy with a project outcome, instead of just lamenting about it, I'll analyze what went wrong and brainstorm ways to improve it next time. It's fascinating to observe how people react to complaints versus solutions. When I voice a concern without a solution, I often find that others join in the complaints, creating a cycle of negativity. But when I present a problem along with potential solutions, the mood shifts. People become engaged and we start collaborating on how to make things better. It's amazing how quickly a complaining session can transform into a productive brainstorming session with just a slight shift in focus. Moreover, I've noticed that consistently complaining can have detrimental effects on my mental health. It can create a negative feedback loop that drains my energy and motivation. I've found that when I actively seek solutions instead of dwelling on problems, I feel more empowered and optimistic. It's like a breath of fresh air. Instead of feeling stuck, I remind myself that I have the ability to influence my circumstances. This shift in perspective has not only improved my well-being but also strengthened my relationships with others. In the grand scheme of things, the choice between complaining and seeking solutions is a powerful one. It's an opportunity to take control of my narrative. I've realized that life is too short to waste time wallowing in negativity. By choosing to focus on solutions, I not only improve my own situation but also inspire those around me to do the same. It's a win-win scenario, and it's taught me that we all have the power to affect change, starting with our approach to challenges. The impact of complaints on mental and emotional health. Have you ever stopped to think about how complaints can affect your mental and emotional health? I certainly have, and it's a sobering realization. Complaining, while sometimes seen as a harmless outlet, can actually take a significant toll on our well-being. Each time I engage in complaining, I'm not just expressing frustration. I'm also reinforcing a negative mindset that can linger long after the complaint has been voiced. The emotional weight of complaints can be heavy. I've noticed that when I complain frequently, it starts to color my overall outlook on life. Instead of focusing on the positive aspects of a situation, I find myself fixating on what's wrong. This negativity can lead to feelings of helplessness and dissatisfaction, creating a vicious cycle that's hard to break. I've learned that by allowing complaints to dominate my conversations, I'm inadvertently inviting negativity into my life. Interestingly, I've found that the company I keep can also influence this dynamic. When I'm surrounded by chronic complainers, it becomes all too easy to join in and indulge in the negativity. It's like a toxic cloud that hangs over us, draining our energy and enthusiasm. I've had to make a conscious effort to distance myself from those who thrive on complaints, opting instead to surround myself with people who focus on solutions. This shift has made a world of difference in my mental health. On the flip side, I've discovered that when I actively work to limit my complaints, I feel lighter and more optimistic. It's as if I'm shedding a layer of emotional baggage. Instead of lamenting what's wrong, I challenge myself to seek out the positives in any given situation. This practice not only boosts my mood but also helps me cultivate resilience. I realize that every challenge comes with an opportunity for growth, and that mindset shift has been liberating. Ultimately, the impact of complaints on mental and emotional health is profound. I've learned that I have the power to choose how I respond to challenges. By focusing on solutions rather than complaints, I can maintain a healthier perspective and foster a more positive mindset. It's a continuous journey, but I'm committed to taking proactive steps toward emotional well-being, and it all starts with how I approach problems. Techniques to transform complaints into constructive actions. Transforming complaints into constructive actions is a skill that I've developed over time, and let me tell you, it's been a game changer. The first technique that worked wonders for me was reframing my language. Instead of saying, "I can't believe this project is a mess," I began to frame it as, "What can we do to improve this project?" This simple shift in wording not only changes the tone of the conversation but also opens the door to collaboration and creative problem solving. It's amazing how powerful language can be in shaping our mindset and actions. Another technique I've found incredibly effective is practicing gratitude. When I catch myself complaining, I challenge myself to identify at least 3 things I'm grateful for in that situation. This practice helps me shift my focus from what's wrong to what's working, creating a more balanced perspective. For instance, if I'm feeling overwhelmed with work, I might remind myself of the supportive colleagues I have or the opportunities for professional growth. This gratitude practice not only diminishes the urge to complain but also fuels my motivation to take action. I've also found that having a structured action plan can be invaluable in transforming complaints into constructive actions. When I identify a problem, I jot down specific steps I can take to address it. This could be as simple as scheduling a meeting to discuss concerns or researching solutions online. Having a clear plan makes it easier to shift my focus from the problem itself to the actions I can take. It's a proactive approach that empowers me to take control of the situation rather than feeling like a victim of circumstances. Collaboration is another key element in this transformation process. I've learned that when I bring others into the conversation, it amplifies my ability to create constructive actions. By sharing my concerns and inviting input from others, we can brainstorm solutions together. This collaborative spirit not only fosters a sense of teamwork but also generates a wealth of ideas and perspectives that I might not have considered on my own. It's incredible how collective problem-solving can lead to innovative solutions. Finally, I've realized the importance of accountability in this process. When I commit to taking action, I often share my goals with a trusted friend or colleague. This accountability helps keep me on track and motivated. Knowing that someone else is aware of my intentions pushes me to follow through and take the necessary steps to address the issue at hand. It's a simple yet powerful technique that reinforces my commitment to transforming complaints into constructive actions. Examples of leaders who acted instead. The influence of growth mindset on action versus complaint. There's something quite powerful about having a growth mindset. It's like a light switch that can illuminate paths we never thought existed. When I think about how this mindset influences our tendency to either take action or fall into the trap of complaining, I can't help but smile. A growth mindset encourages us to embrace challenges and view failures as opportunities for learning. It's about understanding that our abilities can be developed through dedication and hard work. This perspective not only propels us forward but also cultivates resilience in the face of setbacks. I remember a time when I faced a particularly tough project at work. Instead of letting the stress get to me, I chose to see it as a chance to grow and improve my skills. This shift in thinking made all the difference. Rather than complaining about the workload or the obstacles, I focused on how I could tackle each problem one step at a time. That's the beauty of a growth mindset. It transforms obstacles into stepping stones. It allows us to see the silver lining in every cloud, motivating us to act rather than whine. Conversely, when we adopt a fixed mindset, complaining becomes our default reaction. We might think, I can't handle this, or, this is too difficult. It's disheartening, really. These thoughts trap us in a cycle of negativity, preventing us from taking meaningful action. I've seen colleagues who constantly complain about their circumstances, and it's clear that their mindset holds them back. They miss out on opportunities for growth simply because they believe they are stuck. It's a stark reminder of how our thoughts can shape our reality. To cultivate a growth mindset, it helps to be mindful of our self-talk. I've started to catch myself when I slip into negative thinking patterns, gently nudging myself back to a more constructive perspective. It's all about framing our thoughts in a way that fosters growth. Instead of saying, I can't do this, I've begun to say, I'm not there yet, but I'm willing to learn. This simple shift has made me more proactive in seeking solutions rather than wallowing in complaints. Ultimately, the influence of a growth mindset on our propensity to act rather than complain is profound. It empowers us to take ownership of our challenges and view them as opportunities for growth. When we adopt this mindset, we not only change our own narrative but also inspire those around us to do the same. It's like a ripple effect, transforming the environment into one where action triumphs over complaint. How assertive communication can replace complaining. Assertive communication, what a game changer. I can't stress enough how crucial it is to express our thoughts and feelings clearly and respectfully. When I think about how often we resort to complaining instead of articulating our needs, it's a bit mind-boggling. Assertive communication allows us to share our concerns without falling into the trap of negativity. It's about being honest while also being considerate of others' perspectives. I recall a situation at work where a team member was frustrated about the lack of resources for a project. Instead of complaining to others, which only fueled negativity, she chose to address the issue directly with our manager. Her approach was respectful yet firm. She articulated her concerns, explained how the lack of resources was affecting our productivity, and proposed potential solutions. This assertive communication not only got the ball rolling on addressing the issue but also fostered a culture of openness within the team. It's interesting how often we overlook the power of assertiveness. I've been guilty of it myself. Instead of voicing my concerns directly, I'd sometimes vent to a colleague, which did nothing but create a cycle of complaint. Learning to express myself assertively was a turning point for me. It not only alleviated my frustrations but also helped me become a more effective communicator. I realized that when I voiced my feelings and needs clearly, I could facilitate discussions that led to real solutions. One of the best parts about assertive communication is that it encourages collaboration. When we approach conversations with a mindset of seeking solutions rather than airing grievances, we invite others to join us in the process. I've noticed that when I communicate assertively, my colleagues are more willing to engage and contribute ideas. It creates a sense of teamwork rather than division, which is often the case when complaints run rampant. In essence, adopting assertive communication can significantly reduce the tendency to complain. It empowers us to express our feelings and needs while fostering a collaborative environment. By replacing complaints with constructive dialogue, we can create healthier relationships both in our personal and professional lives. It's a win-win situation that ultimately leads to more positive outcomes. The role of personal responsibility in behavioral change. Personal responsibility is a concept that resonates deeply with me. It's about owning our choices and understanding that we have the power to influence our circumstances. When I look at the relationship between personal responsibility and our tendency to complain, it becomes evident that taking ownership is key to enacting change. The moment we accept responsibility for our actions, or lack thereof, we open the door to growth and improvement. I vividly remember a time when I felt overwhelmed by my responsibilities. Instead of acknowledging my role in the chaos, I found myself complaining about external factors. It wasn't until I took a step back and evaluated my choices that I realized I was the one in control. Accepting personal responsibility allowed me to shift my perspective from victimhood to empowerment. I began to identify the areas where I could take action instead of wallowing in complaints. One of the most significant aspects of embracing personal responsibility is the realization that we dictate our responses to situations. It's so easy to blame circumstances or other people for our frustrations, but ultimately, we have the power to change our reactions. I've learned to ask myself, what can I do differently? This simple question has been a catalyst for positive change in my life. It encourages me to focus on solutions rather than getting stuck in a cycle of complaints. Moreover, when we model personal responsibility, we inspire others to do the same. I've noticed that when I take ownership of my actions, it encourages my colleagues to reflect on their own behaviors. It creates a culture where accountability is valued, and complaints are less frequent. In environments where everyone embraces their responsibility, there's a palpable shift toward problem-solving and collaboration. It's a beautiful thing to witness. In summary, personal responsibility is a fundamental factor in changing our behavior and reducing our tendency to complain. By accepting ownership of our actions and decisions, we empower ourselves to create positive change. It's a transformative mindset that not only benefits us individually but also fosters a culture of accountability within our teams and communities. Strategies to motivate teams to act instead of complain. Motivating a team to take action rather than falling into the trap of complaint is an essential skill for any leader. I've experienced firsthand how a proactive team can make all the difference in achieving goals. It's about creating an environment where everyone feels empowered to contribute and make a difference. I've learned that motivation often stems from a sense of purpose and connection to the larger vision. One strategy that has worked wonders for me is setting clear expectations and goals. When team members understand the objectives and see how their contributions matter, they're more likely to take ownership. I remember a project where we outlined specific milestones and celebrated small wins along the way. This approach kept everyone engaged and focused on moving forward rather than dwelling on challenges. It created a sense of camaraderie and a shared commitment to success. Another effective strategy is fostering open communication. Encouraging team members to share their thoughts and ideas creates a culture of collaboration. I've found that when team members feel heard, they're more likely to take initiative. During team meetings, I make it a point to invite everyone to voice their concerns and suggestions. This not only empowers individuals but also shifts the focus from complaining to problem solving. It's fascinating to see how a simple shift in dialogue can lead to innovative solutions. Recognizing and rewarding proactive behavior is also crucial. I've made it a habit to acknowledge team members who take the initiative to address issues rather than complain. This reinforcement not only boosts morale but also encourages others to follow suit. When people see that their efforts are appreciated, they're more inclined to contribute positively. It's all about creating a culture where action is valued and celebrated. Lastly, I've learned that leading by example is perhaps the most powerful strategy. When I model proactive behavior, by tackling issues head-on and maintaining a positive attitude, I set the tone for the team. It's imperative to embody the mindset we want to cultivate in others. When team members see their leader taking action instead of complaining, it inspires them to do the same. It's a ripple effect that can transform the entire team dynamic. In essence, motivating teams to act instead of complain requires a multifaceted approach. By setting clear goals, fostering open communication, recognizing proactive behavior, and leading by example, we can create an environment where action is prioritized. It's a rewarding journey that not only drives results but also strengthens team cohesion and morale. The relationship between gratitude and complaint reduction. Gratitude is a powerful emotion that can significantly impact our mindset and behavior. I've come to realize that cultivating a sense of gratitude can serve as an antidote to the habit of complaining. When we focus on what we appreciate, it shifts our perspective from what's lacking to what we have. This shift can be transformative, especially in challenging situations. I remember a particularly stressful period at work when everything seemed to go wrong. Instead of succumbing to frustration, I decided to start a gratitude journal. Each day I would jot down 3 things I was grateful for, no matter how small. This practice helped me reframe my mindset. Instead of fixating on problems, I began to notice the positives around me. This simple habit lessened my tendency to complain and helped me approach challenges with a more open heart and mind. Moreover, expressing gratitude can enhance our relationships. The importance of setting clear goals for action. In my experience, setting clear goals is like having a roadmap for life. Without a destination, it's easy to drift aimlessly, getting caught up in the daily grind and losing sight of what truly matters. When I began to outline specific goals, both personal and professional, it became clear how essential they are for fostering action rather than complaint. A well-defined goal provides direction and a sense of purpose. It acts as a motivator, helping to channel my energy into constructive activities instead of letting my mind wander to what's wrong or unfair in my surroundings. Moreover, clear goals help in measuring progress. I remember starting a project without a clear objective and quickly felt overwhelmed. However, once I broke it down into smaller, manageable goals, everything changed. Each small achievement brought a sense of accomplishment that fueled my motivation to continue. It's similar to climbing a mountain. Each step taken toward the summit is a reason to celebrate, pushing you further along the path. This is where the magic happens. When we focus on what we can achieve, we naturally shift our mindset away from complaints. Another interesting aspect of goal setting is how it cultivates accountability. When I set a specific goal, I am more likely to take ownership of my actions and the outcomes. I can no longer blame external circumstances or others for my situation. Instead, I find myself reflecting on what I can do to reach my goals. This self-reflection often leads to personal growth, as I learn to identify not just my strengths but also areas needing improvement. Additionally, clear goals can foster collaboration and team spirit. When everyone on a team knows what they are working toward, it creates a unified purpose. I recall a situation at work where we were assigned a project with vague expectations. Complaints about workload and unclear directives were rampant. However, once we established specific goals and expectations, the atmosphere shifted. Team members began collaborating more effectively, and the focus shifted to finding solutions rather than fixating on problems. Lastly, it's essential to recognize that goals should be flexible. Life is unpredictable, and sometimes our initial goals may no longer serve us. I've learned to adapt and adjust my goals as needed, which has kept me from feeling frustrated or defeated. This flexibility allows for continuous improvement and encourages a mindset of resilience, a crucial factor in taking action rather than slipping back into the cycle of complaints. Success stories of people who stopped complaining and took action. There's something incredibly inspiring about hearing success stories of individuals who decided to take action instead of succumbing to complaints. I often reflect on the tale of a friend who was stuck in a dead-end job, constantly voicing dissatisfaction. Instead of letting it consume him, he took the leap to pursue his passion for photography. He invested time in learning, built a portfolio, and eventually started his own photography business. The transformation was remarkable. Not only did he find joy in his work, but he also became a source of motivation for others around him. Another example that resonates with me is the story of a woman who faced significant health challenges. Rather than complaining about her circumstances, she chose to channel her energy into fitness and nutrition. She began sharing her journey on social media, encouraging others to adopt healthier lifestyles. Over time, she built a supportive community that celebrated each other's successes. Her decision to act rather than complain not only changed her life but also inspired countless others to make positive changes. Moreover, I can't forget the impact of a local entrepreneur who turned a traditional complaint into a booming business. He was frustrated with the lack of environmentally friendly products in his town, and instead of merely grumbling about it, he started a company that focused on sustainable goods. His initiative not only filled a market gap but also raised awareness about environmental issues, showcasing how one person's decision to act can create a ripple effect. These stories remind me that taking action often leads to unexpected opportunities. Many people who stop complaining and start acting discover talents and passions they never knew they had. I've seen this firsthand when friends and colleagues took small steps toward their goals. They often found themselves on paths they never imagined, which only reinforces the idea that action breeds more action. Lastly, success stories serve as a powerful reminder of the importance of resilience. Every one of these individuals faced challenges and setbacks, yet they chose to focus on solutions rather than dwelling on problems. Their journeys highlight that while the path may not always be smooth, the act of stepping forward can lead to incredible outcomes, ultimately empowering others to do the same. The impact of organizational culture on the mindset of complaint. Organizational culture plays a pivotal role in shaping how individuals within a company perceive challenges and opportunities. I've worked in environments where a culture of complaint was prevalent, and the impact was palpable. Employees often felt disempowered, focusing on what was wrong instead of what could be improved. In such settings, negativity breeds further negativity, and it becomes a vicious cycle that stifles innovation and growth. Conversely, I've also experienced organizations with a strong culture of positivity and action. In these environments, employees are encouraged to voice concerns, but they are also motivated to propose solutions. This proactive approach fosters a sense of belonging and ownership among team members. I remember a project where we faced significant obstacles, but instead of complaining about the setbacks, the team rallied together to brainstorm solutions. The result? A successful project that not only met our goals but also strengthened our team dynamics. Leadership plays a crucial role in shaping this culture. When leaders model positive behavior and encourage their teams to focus on solutions, it creates an environment where complaints are less prevalent. I've seen leaders who actively seek feedback and empower their teams to take ownership of their work. This approach fosters a culture of accountability, where everyone feels responsible for contributing to the organization's success. Additionally, organizations that prioritize employee well-being often see a decrease in complaints. I recall a company that implemented wellness programs and encouraged work-life balance. The shift in culture led to happier employees who were more engaged and motivated. As a result, complaints about workload and stress decreased significantly. It highlights the importance of taking care of employees as a fundamental aspect of fostering a positive organizational culture. In conclusion, the impact of organizational culture on the mindset of complaint is undeniable. A culture that promotes positivity, accountability, and collaboration can transform the way employees approach challenges. By focusing on solutions rather than problems, organizations can cultivate a workforce that is not only more productive but also more satisfied and engaged. How self-reflection can help identify complaint behaviors. Self-reflection is a powerful tool that can help individuals identify and change complaint behaviors. I've found that taking the time to pause and reflect on my thoughts and actions can be eye-opening. It allows me to recognize patterns in my behavior, particularly when I find myself slipping into a negative mindset. By becoming aware of these tendencies, I can take proactive steps to shift my focus from complaints to solutions. One technique that has worked for me is journaling. I started writing down my thoughts and feelings, especially during moments of frustration. This practice not only helps me articulate what's bothering me but also prompts me to think critically about my responses. Over time, I've noticed that I can identify recurring themes in my complaints, which has helped me pinpoint areas where I need to take action instead of just venting. Another aspect of self-reflection is seeking feedback from others. I've learned that sometimes, we may not fully recognize our complaint behaviors until someone else points them out. I've had colleagues who gently called me out when I was leaning too heavily into negativity. Their feedback prompted me to reflect on how my words and actions affected the team dynamic. This process of self-awareness can be uncomfortable, but it is essential for growth. Furthermore, I've found that setting aside time for regular self-assessment can lead to significant breakthroughs. By evaluating my goals and progress, I can identify whether I'm spending too much time complaining and not enough time taking action. This practice has become a cornerstone of my personal development journey, as it helps me stay accountable to myself and my aspirations. Ultimately, self-reflection is about creating space for growth and change. By recognizing complaint behaviors, I can shift my mindset toward action and solutions. It's a continuous journey, but the rewards are immeasurable. Through self-reflection, I've discovered not just the power of my voice but also the importance of using it wisely to foster a more positive and proactive life. Tools and methods to encourage action in work and personal life. Encouraging action in both work and personal life often requires the right tools and methods. I've experimented with various strategies over the years, and some have stood out as particularly effective. One of the most powerful tools is the use of action plans. When faced with a challenge, I've found that breaking it down into actionable steps makes the task feel less daunting. Creating a timeline and setting deadlines for each step helps maintain momentum and accountability. Another method I swear by is the practice of regular check-ins. Whether it's with my team at work or with friends and family in my personal life, discussing progress and setbacks creates a support system that fosters action. I remember implementing weekly meetings with my colleagues to discuss ongoing projects. These check-ins not only kept everyone focused but also provided an opportunity to celebrate small wins and brainstorm solutions to any obstacles we encountered. Visualization is another powerful tool I've adopted. Visualizing success and the steps needed to get there can be a motivating factor. I often create vision boards or mind maps, which help me see the bigger picture and keep my goals front and center. This visual representation serves as a constant reminder of what I'm working toward, making it easier to stay committed to taking action.